I'm Bob Dickinson. I'm the lighting designer on the Tony Awards. I believe this is my 17th year on the Tony Awards, and the show had an interesting history. It used to be done in working Broadway houses in between actual performances, and then they tried to do a nationwide broadcast that had performances from all the other shows, and it was completely impossible. And we moved to Radio City Music Hall, and once we moved to Radio City Music Hall, it started to get real, where we actually could rehearse and light these performances. The challenge is that we want to interpret the integrity of the lighting design and the scenic design from the actual performance, but we do not want to, we've got to make it television friendly. So it's this delicate balance that we do, and I think we're rather successful at it. Now at Radio City we had unlimited resources and all the space and all the hanging positions we ever needed, and then we came to the Beacon Theater, and let me tell you, walking into a new theater that has just been landmarked and just restored is a nightmare. And so we've been struggling to get the right positions to be able to theatrically and television friendly illuminate this production. And it has been quite a challenge. We started almost a year ago worrying about what positions and how we would defeat the particular challenges, especially the landmark challenges are presenting. And ironically, we've done pretty well. We lost a few battles, but we've done pretty well. And so now we're into what is the most kinetic and challenging portion, and that is the actual rehearsal, because these incredibly talented casts come in here. They know exactly what their choreography is. They know exactly what their staging is, and they walk onto our stage, and the only thing that is not figured out is exactly how we're going to interpret or mimic the lighting from the Broadway production while keeping it television friendly. And we were given about an hour and a half to do that, and that is a furious amount of time for our programmer, Harry Sangmeister, genius lighting director programmer, that hammers away, never gives up, continues to try to find how to make the moment look that delicate balance, which is, it looks like it should look as if you think it would look if you're sitting in the audience in a Broadway theater, but it looks that way on television in extreme close-up. Really delicate thing. And so we're always fighting the good fight to find that balance. And I will tell you that you can't come into any project like this without a team that is not only seasoned but committed. And you know, I happen to have Local One, IA Local One supplies incredible stagehands, but Richie Beck Jr. is so rock solid. He yells at me every day about how I'm destroying his life, but he gets the job hung, he gets everything where it needs to be, and he never gives up. I love that. We have my team, which is Ed McCarthy, who lives this show for about 8 weeks. He does not ever, he goes to every single show, he goes to every scratch rehearsal, he meets with all the directors and lighting designers, and he completely does the Broadway interface, which is essential. And also Travis, who is constantly scurrying to pick up my pieces that I leave behind, focusing and making it all happen. But with that kind of team, we actually can do it in the amount of time we have, and that's the key, because we have no time once we get into the theater and on camera.
Can you talk a little bit about specific fixture choices?
In a lighting design like this, you're going to be restricted by three things. First is the physical placement of the lights. Where can you put the lights? So that's probably going to influence your decision. Is it too heavy? Is it too large? You know, is there something small enough but still can deliver the amount of light? So in this case, we actually have gone to a little bit of an old school choice. We're using the VL5s, and we're using smaller instrumentation that can fit into a lot smaller spaces, because our bays on stage are very small. Also, we've been very restricted by the house as to how much weight we can put any place. So we're using smaller, more discrete instrumentation. Also, we can do that though safely on television.
Everyone, we can clear the stage, please. Clear the stage.
Clear the stage. There, you can do that on television by irising the cameras open and using a lower light level as a key light level. So that these, even though the output of these instruments are a lot less than the more dramatic 3500 washes and the like, although we have a few of them, they will read on camera they'll make a significant impact on camera, because the camera has actually been balanced to make a little bit of light look like a lot of light, and we kind of cheat that way, and it works. And most of our choices though had to do with weight and size in this particular case.
Hi, my name is Travis Hagenbaugh. I'm the Associate Lighting Director here at the Tony Awards. We're here at the Beacon Theater rehearsal day number 1. We've been loading in since last Thursday, had a dark day on Sunday. We got through our focus mostly yesterday, and then today we were up at rehearsal at 1 o'clock. So I'd like to talk a little bit about our lighting rig. I'll go ahead and start front of house. We had some issues, not issues, I should say challenges here at the Beacon, because it was recently landmarked, and the Landmark Commission was hesitant to allow us to retrofit what had just been changed here. They did, however, let us hang 3 trusses front of house, which are way up there, in front of the house portal, and 1 house left, 1 house right. On those we have mostly VL5s and VL6s. The VL6s are primarily going to be used to do ballyhoos in the audience for wide shots before we go to commercial. And the VL5s on the sides are going to probably tone scenery and also help with cross-lighting the audience for the award winners. The VL5s up there, you can see in the colors, are helping to tone the scenery and also the house architecture that's recently been rebuilt. Out here on the balcony rail position, we have some incandescent VL1000s and some arc sources as well. And those are focused and framed in on some of the scenery and also the house header, just to give it a little front light sense. Whatever's televised, there's a lot of house architecture lighting, but we have to supplement it just to make it a little brighter and a little more angle sufficient for TV. We had originally had more balcony rail lights on the loge rail, but due to engineering concerns and the renovation, we had to actually strike those. So we've been reinventing lighting positions as we go. We've been tucking booms in where we can to light the audience that's in the corners. Because even in the back row here at the Beacon, it's a fraction of what Radio City used to be. So we used to light nominees, who they always put on the aisles, so it's an easy walk down to stage. We used to light nominees, halfway back in Radio City, and here all the way back to the back wall. So trying to get audience light underneath this low loge without getting it into cameras has been a particular challenge this time. We've sort of concocted some booms just left and right of our proscenium header with all those pars, and there's a few source boards on there as well. Moving on from front of house, the overstage rig is primarily VL2402s and 2500 spots overstage. Traditionally we've used VL6s because of their speed and small size, but we wanted the color mixing for the different colors we have to get for the Broadway shows here. That's the array there. We do have some audience key lights that are the only source for conventional units overstage. And then underneath each truss, we had to hang trusses because of the weight, so we're not on line sets with lighting. We have truss legs as well that have an array of VL5s and 5Bs, which is the more pastel color flag version of the L5, which we tend to use for shows that have theatrical numbers in them. We do that for this and also the Kennedy Center Honors, mostly because it's kinder to people's faces and skin if we need to use it as like dance-style side light from those ladders. And everything is moving lights because we have to work from this rep plot. We have to recreate, a dozen different Broadway numbers. So, we do what we can with the tools available, and there's been never any time to focus on the specials, which is why everything is automated. There's a lot of practicals in this set. It's a brand new set since we're in a brand new theater. That's pretty much straightforward, but you'll see it might be hard to tell on the flip camera, but there's still some front lighting we have to do to sort of augment the close down. There's the comedy tragedy masks on there that we're going to eventually get specials just for those, and a lot of dark areas that we're sort of discovering once we get here. And I just gave a list to the gaffer of lights that we have to add, and it's adding up to the dozens now, so he's getting a little grouchy about that, but it'll be great. We also have an array of floor lights on the stage that are on rolling carts that we can adjust and spike for different numbers, either used for backlight or for aerial effects in the sky. For different numbers, we just used some for Spider-Man since it's an outdoor number.
Consoles?
Consoles. Over here in front of house in the center section, moving lights we're all running on a PRG V676 with a slave backup. Harry Sangmeister is programming all of that, and he has all the moving lights in the show. Behind him is Mike Pitzer. He's on an EOS with the slave backup, and he's doing all the conventional lighting and all of the practicals and some of the LEDs that are in the scenery as well. Behind Mike is Pete, who's on the hypnotizers. They're being run by Granda Mays, and he's controlling all the screens, all the plasmas, all the LED screens. The close down itself has an LED screen behind it. There's more LED screens upstage as almost a cyc, and then there's side tabs on the sides. And the reason they decided to do that this year is because there's so much less room to hang scenery here at the Beacon. They actually went in and photographed scenic looks at the actual Broadway shows that are being performed here, and they're going to turn it into video content to then display on those walls to create the environment for each performance.
Hi, I'm Ben McCarthy. I'm the lighting director for the Tony Awards here at the Beacon Theater. My main job on the show is basically to spend the last 6 weeks or so, ever since nominations came out, to integrate the original design concepts of each show into what we do for television. So it's a relatively involved process. We have our limited palette of what we can do for TV, and of course every show has a very unique light plot that we can't actually imitate as easily as we'd like to. So I spend a lot of time talking to each director, each lighting designer, each producer about what are the most important aspects of each number and how we can best sort of give the audience at home the same feel and the same excitement that they would get watching that number in the original theater. So a lot of it is paring down the cueing to what makes sense for camera versus what they would do on stage, sort of picking and choosing the most important elements of each number, like things like color palette or texture or angle, whatever the line designer thinks is the most important elements. And then we basically spend 2 weeks talking about that. Then we go see a scratch rehearsal in the theater of the number they're doing in the state they're going to do it for us, which is usually a cut down version. And we get a script, we get an MP4 of the music, and then I break down all the cueing. And I also get to go see all the shows, which is a fun side bonus. And we break down all the cueing based on what the original cues were versus what we're going to do for television. And that's about 6 weeks of my life.
What numbers are in the show?
Well, we're doing numbers from all 6 nominated shows, 4 nominated musicals and the 2 revivals. And then we're also doing a number of surprise events, numbers from other shows that weren't nominated, numbers from shows that were like Company Behind Us, which was limited run, a concert version of the Philharmonic this year. and we're doing an opening number and a closing number, and a few surprises I shouldn't talk about yet.
And who provided the lighting gear?
This is all PRG.
Consoles, rig, everything?
Consoles, rig, everything. Everything except for the video equipment. So, and this is the other thing we're doing here, which is for the first time on the Tony Awards, we're integrating a lot of video content, as Travis mentioned earlier, into the show, since we don't have any space backstage for a lot of scenery, although you will see a lot of scenery on the show. It's just, we decided it would be more representative of the show to be able to at least give them a surround that was indicative of the set. So we spent a week going around from theater to theater doing a lot of digital photography, of different states of the same set, nighttime, daytime sort of thing, or different color palettes, and so we have a selection of things to choose from. For example, like the portholes in the Anything Goes boat set, we could do multiple colors of. The stained glass windows in Sister Act, we took multiple shots of. How to Succeed in Business is also a very abstract environment of LEDs. We took multiple pictures of different kinds of color palettes that Hal was using to be able to integrate that into what we're doing.
Great, good light, Sandra.
Thank you.